Replacing your full-time income by working online is definitely possible, but before you can make that full-time income, you really need to make your first dollar. Hey, my name's Nicholas Dembski from the Single Dad Nomad, and making my first dollar online was a true slog. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through some ways that I would do it now if I were starting over so I can make it easy for you. Let's start that video right now. Let's focus on how you need to be thinking about making your money online. So there's two things that I think are really important when discussing the mindset of working online. The first is that the internet is still extremely young. It's very, very, very young, which means there is a whole world of opportunity online to make money. And the second thing would be to keep in mind that your education has failed you greatly when it comes to working online. I should know, I went through the K-12, I went and got my college degree, I did all of that. All that education that I paid tens of thousands of dollars for still did not prepare me for what I was about to go through when working online and trying to make that first dollar. Here it is, found it. The education system today prepares you to go on to work in a typical job or work for a corporation, not to be more entrepreneurial and work for yourself online. Think about it. It's a system that starts when you are really young as a child. You get trained to wake up at a certain time and then respond to a check-in bell, and then there's a lunch bell to let you go eat, and then there's a bell that lets you go home at the end of the day. It's the exact same system that's happening within the daily work environment. So obviously that's what the education is designed to train you for. Unfortunately, for that system, we now have the internet, so that means we don't need to abide by those rules anymore. We don't need that style of education anymore. We want to work online and make money without having a boss staring over our shoulder. If you really want to make money online, you need to not set your expectations too high starting out. I mean, think about it. Would you go into kindergarten expecting to get a college degree the day you exit? No, I don't believe you would do that. You are more intelligent than that. You know that it takes time to build up the skills in order to be able to earn the money. Thankfully, you probably already have a lot of skills. So even though I don't want you to set your expectations too high the moment you get in, you should still aim high for the long run, because getting up there is definitely possible. But first, we really need to learn how to work hard for that first dollar. And I'll be honest right up front, it is not easy making that first dollar online if you have really high goals that you want to hit in the future. And that's because there are tiered rating systems through different websites where you really have to work your way up to make that good money. There's a cutthroat mentality out there. So if you're freelancing and don't get something done, a client can easily go and find somebody else. But if you are willing to work through all these difficulties, just like you were willing to go to school in order to find a job, well, then you can be well on your way to making that first dollar online. Let's dive into things that you should really avoid if you want to make money online. When you start researching how to make money online, you might run into places that are like survey websites, or watch these videos and get paid, or pay to play on this website. Please don't do any of that. You are going to waste your time. Sure, you might be able to make, a couple dollars off swag bucks by doing some surveys or something like that, or watching some videos, but in the long run, you are wasting your time. You can't scale that, and you're just not going to make a lot of money anyway on any of those types of websites. And you're just not really building any skills, which is really what employers want that are looking for people who are working online. So let's dive into that a little bit. If you want to make your first dollar online, but you have high aspirations to make much more than that, well, then the first thing I would recommend you do is start thinking about how to leverage your skills. Think about it like this. The business leaders that you see out in the world today, though they may get glorified in our culture, they're really just normal people, and they're not any better at anything than you or I are. It's just that they have developed a certain set of skills that have put them in the positions that they're in. Why someone may make a fantastic CEO for a large company, they may not be a very skilled writer or photographer or virtual assistant, for example, and these are roles that anyone can fill from the outside. And those are just examples, of course. There are lots of other skills you could have that you can utilize to make your first dollar online. So let's just look into a few of the websites where it's actually possible. Essentially, there are two types of websites out there that I recommend if you really want to make that first dollar online with higher aspirations down the road. If you want to start making money online today, please consider working on some job platforms. Now, a lot of these places get really bad reputation, and I think it's totally unfounded. That would be places like Upwork, People Per Hour, and Fiverr.com. You know, a big reason that these places get such a bad reputation is that people go into them with unrealistic expectations. Just like I mentioned earlier in the video, they think on day one they're going to replace their full-time income. Unfortunately, the clients on those websites are looking for people who are well established already within those platforms. It doesn't matter if you've been a graphic designer for 10 years in the professional world. If someone else has been on Upwork for 3 years and has a high rating and you're there on day one, their 3 within Upwork are going to be worth significantly more, actually infinitely more, than anything you've done outside of it. So at this point, you might be asking, how exactly am I even supposed to get ahead on a platform like that if someone who has far less experience than me is able to easily outrank me just because I haven't been on that website? Well, what you have to do is be ready to establish yourself on that website, and it can take time. You can't just go applying to all of the expert-rated jobs because you think you're an expert. Unfortunately, when people are looking for experts on these websites, they are looking for people who are certified as experts by the specific platform. So in this case, if you're on Upwork, you'll see little badges. For example, it might say top rated badge or top rated plus. These are people who have put in a lot of work into this website. They've worked with a lot of clients and they've generated a lot of money through these websites. And that's usually who the top clients are going to be looking for, people that are well established. So it's going to be really difficult for you to compete with anyone who's really well trusted on these websites, which means you too have to build up your reputation on them. And there's only one way to do that, and I'm sorry to tell you, it is very difficult. You have to find the worst paying clients for the hardest jobs, and you have to perform them like they are 5-star clients paying you everything you are worth. You think I'm joking about that? Unfortunately, I am not, because I am a freelance writer, and when I joined Upwork, no one cared about my outside experience. No one cared that I had a college degree. The only thing they wanted to know was how many clients had trusted me on Upwork itself. And that means that the first job that I did on Upwork was that I wrote an entire book for $10. Would you write an entire book for $10? Well, that's how I really earned my first dollar working online, and I was willing to put in all that effort writing a book for just $10 because I knew that in the long run it would build up my reputation and that I would be able to charge premium later on. So how long do you have to work like this until you can finally start applying for the better jobs? Well, that's probably fairly subjective. I know that I worked probably 5 one-star jobs before I had built up a reputation and got the feedback from other clients to prove to higher paying clients on the website that I was worth their time and money. So honestly, it was quite a bit of work. The first job was $10 for writing a book, and then I still had 4 more jobs to write after that that did not pay well, that were not fun to do by any means, but it did build up my reputation on Upwork, and it eventually got to the point where I got that top rated plus badge and had clients all the time coming to me offering me the best paying jobs. And that's because they saw on Upwork that I had a history of pleasing every client that I had worked for on that website. That's why as a writer I was able to set my wages at $75 an hour, which is like 3 to 4 times what I was making as a teacher with my college degree. But of course, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're still trying to make that first dollar. Thankfully, there are other ways to make money online, and we're still talking that first dollar. And that's through websites which specifically offer services that you can perform. You know how sometimes when you watch videos like these and you can see along the bottom that the words are being repeated as the people are saying them? That's called closed captioning. And while it can be auto-generated by some machines, it's not perfect, and a lot of people are looking for companies that give them quality closed captions. So one of the first ways that I started making money online was by creating these closed captions through rev.com. It's not the only website out there like this though. There's other types of services that people are looking for. There's stock services, there's verblio.com for blog writing, there's teaching English for kids in other countries. And all of these are things that pretty much anybody can do who can hear and speak and type. There are some downsides, like the limited scalability and the amount of work isn't always completely steady. But working on Rev and Verblio.com were both ways for me to really build my confidence that I could make good money online. And again, these websites also have their own tiered rating systems, but they're also websites where you can today go make that first dollar online right now if you can go get a project done. I'm gonna put 2 videos right here for you, one where you can learn to freelance to make a lot more money in the future, and one right here that'll teach you to make your first $1,000 online. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more about making money online, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.